Hey everyone, I apologize for the delay here on this user error here. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the book launch of the year, Breaking, Building, and Belonging. And we have a wonderful team here supporting this event today. We have Devon, who's in Atlanta, which is also where I'm located, but we're in separate locations. We're keeping it all very streamlined here. Then we also have some of John's kids in the background helping support this event. We have Callista, Grant, Noah, and Franny. And by the way, Grant is in charge of the giveaways. So he's the one that you want to butter up here in the chat. So you get, maybe preferential treatment. But without further ado, we have a full agenda for today planned for this hour. And I want to give time for our co-hosts to introduce themselves. We're so excited to have you here celebrating this powerful book with us and all the voices that shape us. So with that said, let me turn it over to Ashley so she can introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ashley Jaquette. We're so excited that you're here today with us. I am located in sunny California. John has an incredible reach he's just a global person that knows so many people all around the world. And I'm very, very fortunate to know him. And I would like to know what you guys are tuning in from. Are you calling in from LinkedIn, YouTube? Where are you calling in from? Let's drop that in the chat.
And where in the world? I would love to hear
Yes.
that too. Yeah.
All
And
right.
oh, do you want to go ahead while we're getting the people coming in?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Elle. I'm calling in here from the UK. Also lucky enough to work with John at Boeing. Got to know him from across the pond, which has just been, an honor. And one of the things I love about John the most is how he adores his family. So reading this book and getting to know the characters in his life a bit more has been, such an honor. And it's been such an honor to watch this story progress and read the chapters and get to know John a bit more. So yeah, as Vivi said, as we're talking about across the pond, please do pop in the chat. Where are you calling in from? Is anyone calling in farther from me than the UK? What's your time zones? I can't actually see the chat, Vivi, so do you mind if you read them out?
Of course. Yes. Let's see. We have more Georgia people in the house coming in from Athens. Go Georgia people. Lots of people joining in from Facebook. We got YouTube. I'm just so amazed at technology, people.
Right?
It just connects us all.
Long Island as well in the house. South Carolina, West Virginia.
Yes.
More West Virginia. And we got another Eric from Atlanta too. Hey, shout out to Atlanta peeps.
Yes.
So I think Georgia's dominating. That's what I'm taking away so far.
Right.
Yes, it's giving. I'm seeing the South all in through the comments.
Yeah.
Yes, I see a lot of South Carolina. We got some East Coast too. Where are my West Coasters at? Where are my Californians at? I want to see you guys too.
They're still working, actually.
Yes. All right. I'm getting a little competitive. I want to see my West Coasters here. Nice.
Well, shall we move on? Shall we go into what the event's going to look like today? If everyone's got out in the chat where you're from, speak now, hold your peace of where you are. We'll be monitoring the chat throughout, so pop in anything you want to engage with. So what do we have going today in today's launch? We're going to hear a bit about the book. We are, of course, going to celebrate John. We're going to learn where we can buy this book, a few shameless plugs. Where can we review the book? That's an important one. You guys are going to win some prizes. As co-hosts, we can't win the prizes, so tad jealous of that, but that's fine. And of course, we are going to hear from our author. So it's going to be fast-paced, and I'm sure we will walk away with knowledge, celebrating everyone that made it possible, just good vibes, and again, where we can buy the book. So just enjoy, this is going to be recorded, the slides are going to be sent out, so you'll have the graphics, everything with you, so just sit back, relax, and John is also going to read us a few excerpts from the book for those who haven't been lucky enough to read it yet, and give us a bit of a sneak peek. You'll hear a bit of breaking, a bit of building and belonging with guest speakers along the way for you to enjoy as well. So let me very happily hand over to the man of the hour, our incredible author, John.
Woo! John, you're on. John, do you hear us?
Everyone, yeah, I think I have a little bit of a lag, but hopefully you all can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me. I just can't wait to take you on a behind-the-scenes journey of this book. And really, there's just no way to truly capture all the people and all the voices that mattered as I went through this journey. I definitely need to kind of tell the story from the standpoint of it was really my family, starting with, my wife and my sisters, especially, that urged me to write the book, but really my larger family, my extended family wanted me to write a book for, I don't know, all of my adult life. And then when I started blogging shortly after, I was inspired to start blogging from Jen Williams, my pastor. It sort of started to take form. Some of the stories that you read in the book are from the blog way back that I've adapted. And then I always wanted to kind of tell this story of character portraits of voices that mattered throughout my life and how that kind of changed me from how I was when I was coming up as a young person forward. And I've put a couple little tricks in there. There's a character called the Colonel and a character called Sergeant Stunad. I did not actually hear those voices in my head, but they do serve a purpose to help move the story along. And yeah, John Wiley, I see in the chat, said forever. Yes, forever. We talked about the book, and today it's here. That's right. And my kids, they also wanted me to write it pretty badly. And so I thought at first that they wanted me to write the book, but not anything about them. But later on, after I wrote the first draft and I had left out a lot of pieces, including things about my Nikki and my life and their life, they're like, we need more mom. We need more of us. And so I put some of that in. And then when I had people like Elle read it and Vivi and other editors, like my editor-in-chief, Betsy, who has been a godsend, my coach, Robbie Green, she said, get an accountability partner. And I searched for one and searched for one. And I couldn't get anyone that would really kind of hold me to task. And I ended up working with Betsy day to day. And she ended up being not only that accountability partner, but the editor-in-chief. And so all of these people together kind of pushed me. Our friends, Donna and Eric, Shannon and John, Trina and Scott, they all pushed and pushed and made sure that I kept going and that this happened. And a lot of other folks, some of whom you'll meet, like my cousin and some cousins in the chat there. So you'll get to meet some of these folks. We'll talk through some of these things. And one of the things that I want to thank specifically are the editors like my mother-in-law, who read more pages than anybody else, Diane Bloom, and some other editors that, like Vivi, when she took it on vacation and kind of sent up these markups, my cousin Easton and my Aunt Jo, they all worked hard to edit this, along with some artificial friends, helped me kind of edit and grammar check and all that kind of thing. And really, toward the end, when I shared it with Jen, I got some of the best feedback of all, which was, you left it short. You did not share enough about yourself, and you did not share enough about mentors and mentees and kind of the contribution that you make. And that pushed me into doing more of that. And so I really am grateful for that. And so this book, the bottom line is, this book wouldn't be what it is without all of you. And that's what this event is all about. Poor Callista, who is manning the chat, Spider-Man, man in the chair in the chat. She read the thing a few times. Noah read it all night long. I mean, all my kids read the books and gave me feedback. So I really appreciate that. If I left anybody out, I'm sorry. I mean, I know that like I had some early editors like Lori who might be out there, and Karen Jones and some others. But if I left anybody out, please know that I tried to include you in the acknowledgments in the end of the book, and I do celebrate you, and I do appreciate you, even if I didn't give you credit. Oh, and the one person, if you look at that book cover, Rada Ursa, she wasn't able to be on. She's the amazing designer behind the book cover, and I posted some things that show the early versions that I tried, and Callista was ready to strangle me for trying to publish. But Rada did an amazing job, and I got that referral from Easton. Okay, so the thing that we want to talk about next, really quick, just so we can keep everything moving, is the reviews. So I had a ton of beta readers, and so we want to thank all the beta readers for their effort, for all of the work they did, reading the book ahead of time, the feedback they gave me. And they can be some of the beta readers, but some of you that also know my writing, there's no reason why you all cannot also contribute and put reviews out there on Amazon, on Goodreads, on Barnes and Noble. And there's lots of tools out there on social media. I'm sure you've all been seeing them. So I really would appreciate any help you can give in doing those reviews. Definitely put yourself in the chat. If you were a beta reader, if you had some, I'm trying not to get verklempt. I'm seeing all the loving things in the chat. So Nikki already yelled at me and told me not to lose it. So I'm going to try not to. Anyway, thanks beta readers, and let's leave some reviews that will help spring this thing forward. And I want to tell a quick story. I know that we're short on time, but they told me to talk, so I'm going to talk. I felt weird about all this marketing and pushing all this stuff. And then the other night, it's like the middle of the night, and people that know me know that I don't sleep all the time. And somebody from India messaged me, and I had given them a free copy of the book, and they let me know that it touched them and that it hit them right where they live, if you will, and they resonated with it. And they thanked me for sharing it with them and trusting them with the early advanced copy of it. And what that did for me is it helped me realize who it's for, and that it's not all about this marketing and a perfect launch and a perfect live, that it really is for the people out there. I won't say her name, but the people out there like her. And I've heard from more than one person like her. So thank you, all of those. If you know someone like that, if you know someone that will get something out of the book, that's all I ask. Share it with them. If they can't afford to buy one, let me know. I'll send them a free copy. That's really what it's all about. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Ashley.
All right. Thank you, John. It was great to hear from you. You always continue to inspire us, and I hope that you're embracing all the love and the support that you're receiving in the comment section, because you absolutely deserve it. Just wanted to put that out there. All right. Now, with that being said, you know that we cannot host a launch without doing a giveaway. That is super important. Okay. So for our first prize, we have a custom exclusive signed book jacket. Okay. So you cannot get this in the Targets and the Walmarts of this world. Okay. Like, this is the the most exclusive. You're getting it signed. So let's do a virtual drum roll, please. And I'm going to announce the winner. And the winner is Shara. Do we have Shara on the call? I hope I'm saying your name right. Shara? I hope I'm saying it correctly. Congratulations. All right, Shara. So what you're going to do is you are going to follow up with John via DM and claim your prize. If for all of our other people and our participants who want the exclusive signed book jacket as well, they will be available pre-order 1 month from today through Barnes and Nobles. Like I said, exclusive. You can't get it from the regular stores. You can't get it from Kroger. Okay. Oh, hey, Sharon. Congratulations! Woo! But yes, you are our winner today. But of course, you guys are all winners, and make sure that you get you a book jacket once it's available on September 26th. Okay. All right. Congratulations again. So now we're going to transition and we're going to talk about the breaking section of our book. All right. So that's the first segment that we're going to explore. So as we know, the first part of this book is about breaking, and John has had an amazing, supportive family there for him, but he's had some rough times in his life that calls for resilience as well. So, in this moment, I like to re-invite John, our man of the hour, back and have him read from his breaking chapter. And after that, we'll have a special guest. John, I'm passing it to you.
Sorry, I am actually doing double duty with the chat, so sorry about that. Okay, so the first reading is from chapter 6, Brokers, Battles, and Betrayals. On board the Greyhound bus was Graham, Peapot, my Aunt Mig, my mother, my 6-year-old triplet sisters, and 9-year-old me. A tired, hungry group crammed into sticky vinyl seats. By the time we reached Jacksonville, our stomachs were growling and morale was low. None of the adults had a dime, and the nearest meal might as well have been a mirage. Resourceful as ever, Graham wasn't about to let us go hungry. Around her neck hung a silver dollar necklace, a gift with sentimental value, but at that moment, an urgent purpose. She broke the necklace apart without hesitation and used the coin to buy a single hot dog. Yeah, back then, a coin to buy a single hot dog. I can still hear her tearing it apart, piece by piece, placing scraps into our hands like a sacred offering, one that somehow filled more than just our stomachs. It wasn't much, barely a bite for each of us kids, but it felt like a loaves and fishes miracle, enough to carry us to the next chapter of our lives. Go ahead, Ashley.
I appreciate that excerpt. All right. And now I'm excited to invite our first special guest. This is Easton. So please drop your emojis and your virtual support for Easton. Hi, Easton. How are you?
I'm great. Hi,
Thank
Ashley. Nice to meet you. Hey, John. Congratulations.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate your time and it's wonderful to have you. And before we start, I'd like to read a part of your review that you gave.
Sure.
And I thought that this was really incredible and you definitely have a way with words. You said this book is not just an exploration of Johnson's life. It's a mirror held up to ours, revealing what we inherit, what we lose, and what we dare to become. So not only are you an author, surprise, surprise, like I said, you have a way with words, and someone that has taught writing, but you're also John's cousin. Given that you and John have an age gap and didn't necessarily grow up in the same state, what did you think as you read more about John's life? And what did that season look like from your perspective?
Yeah, so I think I even texted John maybe halfway through, and I wrote something like I knew you had it rough here and there, but I don't think I really understood to the degree of some of the challenges that he went through. And it was really interesting for me because, yeah, he's my cousin, and there are a lot of characters in the book that I know well. Some that I knew, but not as well as I would have liked to before they either passed or just geographical distances between us. So it was reading it in that regard was one thing that I was learning more about myself through John's story and my family. But also, there was a point where that kind of got pushed aside, and I just started becoming engrossed in the book as like a reader. And despite my personal connection to John and some of the characters in the story, and so I was just like, wow, this was really well done, because memoirs are interesting because everyone has a story to tell, and I think that's amazing. And it really comes down to how you tell it. And if I think what makes a good memoir is when it holds that mirror up to the reader as well, so you don't feel like you're just reading about someone else's life. You're finding touch points within the memoir that you can relate to, and that bounce back to you, and then you can sort of say, wow, like I really resonate with this, and this is a point that I'm going to reflect on my own life, and then maybe grow from that. So yeah, long-winded answer to your question.
No, I love that. That was perfect. And speaking of that mirror, was there a part in the book that has an impact on you in the moments where you may break and have to build and belong in the future? Like, is there a part of the book that you carry with you that gives you the tools to be successful?
Yeah, let me think. There were a lot. For me personally, there was a chapter that included my parents, and my father struggled a lot with his own sort of demons in his life, and seeing it through John's lens, and how despite my own relationship with my father, how he did his best to help John. That was inspiring for me to see him in that light. And then watching John later in some other scenes, as well as I think when he had to watch someone who was like his second father kind of person die in the garage, and then just how because everyone deals with this, right? Like death is a part of everyone's life. It's inevitable. We all have to face our own one day. But then in my own reflection of my father passing, and then John with his, and then it's sort of how do you take what you can, the good from these people, and pick yourself up and move on, and sort of carry that good with you. And John did that. You could see him do that in his own story. And so yeah, that's something that I think everyone can relate to, and hopefully learn to do moving forward.
Okay. Well, thank you, Easton. That was like a full circle moment. Like I was definitely inspired by that. And I don't know if anybody has told you and John, but you guys look alike. The genes are strong. So I love to see that connection physically and mentally that's there. So thank you so much for your time today and imparting these words of wisdom. And your review was phenomenal, and we definitely appreciate you.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Very proud of you, John. Good job. A lot of people say they're going to write a book, but they don't always follow through. So I'm glad that John did. And it's fantastic. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks,
All right,
Easton. All right. So now I'm going to hand it off to Elle.
Alrighty, thank you, Ashley. So true, Easton. The amount of people I've heard that say they're going to read a book, and I was saying to John the other day, it's so inspiring that you really did it. You put your time, your effort, your passion, your love into writing a book, and we can all read it and learn from it and experience it with you, and that's such a gift. So thank you so much. Okay, so now that everyone's excited about the book, where can we buy it? The question on everyone's minds, I know. So Noah's going to drop some links in the chat. I think if that's working, I have major FOMO from the fact that my chat is not working. I'm missing out on all the love John's getting, so I'm hoping going to see it afterwards. But yes, Noah's going to drop that in or share afterwards, but you can buy it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, audiobook for those of you who don't love to read. Ebooks, we know you exist. It's okay. This one is worth the read, though, that's for sure. Okay, so there's a QR code, and that's where you can buy the book. So go ahead and obviously contact John if you're having any troubles with that. I'm sure he will direct you in the right direction. Okay, so if I'm correct, I think we're on to our next giveaway already. Okay, so drum roll, please. We have a very special limited edition bookmark from John from the book for Lauren Herring. So Lauren, please, as before, DM John, get in the chat, claim your bookmark, don't miss out. And yeah, we're all majorly jealous about this one. Spoiler from the book, this, of course, but it's going to be along for the ride with you while you're going through it. So major giveaway there. Okay, but yeah, please do contact John. Any questions, let him know. So let's move into the building part of today. Okay, so as we know, John has been through some tough times. I'm privileged to have read that through the book, gone through that journey with him. And one of my favorite parts of the book is that building. He built himself up and lent on the people who inspired him, his family, his friends, his mentors, his coaches. So let's hand back over to John, main character of today, for another reading from the building part of today's book.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much. Oh boy. I mean, I lost it off camera, Nikki. I didn't. I'm better now. But Easton, you really got me, bud. I love you. Okay, so Breaking was more kind of a lot of childhood focus, family focus. Building has elements in it of a lot of different aspects of my life, but work is one of them. So I wanted to highlight work because some of the most important voices that matter to me have come to me from my work. And so I cannot name all the people. I gave people different names. I made amalgams. There's one or two people that it's really them, like Valerie is Valerie, but a lot of other people are a combo. You're probably going to hear a person and maybe even meet a person that I'm going to mention here in this next chapter. But there have been a million influential people in my work life. And so it's really challenging narrowing it down, as Easton probably will tell you, but I did my best. And so here's a little excerpt of Spotlight, Snapshots, and Squirrels. And at the beginning of each chapter, I have a quote. And so this one's from Phil Jackson. The strength of the team is each individual member. The strength of each member is the team. And so I can't help but smile when I think about Clint telling the executives at one of those work functions how my nickname was Coach Skippy. When we coached Little League together, he and my friend Johnny, the one from the childhood railroad track excursion, they had to teach me how to throw before I could teach the kids. And Clint, who was a trick knee away from being a Major League Baseball player, but then went on to be a security guard turned HR executive, he just could not stop laughing at my first attempts to throw the ball. Still, in true Clint fashion, he helped me figure it out. And so the scene here for background is that I'm picturing a work event, which actually was a real life work event, but this didn't happen exactly the way it did. It's kind of cinematographic. So the applause drew me back to the present again, and my gaze landed on Marion, sitting elegantly toward the center of the room. Her regal presence was as striking as ever. Marion had been a trusted friend and mentor for years. During that layoff exercise with Clint in the early days of our mutual careers, her job, like mine, had been on the line, but it was saved in the final round, leading her to move on to larger and more prominent roles. She was a pivotal leader on the larger project Caitlin was prodding me on. Miriam was so talented that many people wondered why Caitlin was the senior leader and Marion wasn't. Over the years, she became a quiet source of wisdom and mentorship for me, offering sage advice at pivotal moments. John, don't forget who you are, and don't forget what you believe in. That will always guide you. She told me that during a particularly tough stretch over coffee. Then I saw Theodora, toward the back, half shadowed, but unmistakable. I swear the flashbulbs hit her just right, like the spotlight knew who the real star was. Theo had been my mentee years ago, back when I was helping to launch that state apprenticeship initiative. She wasn't just a standout. She was the future, bright, driven, sharp as a tack. I watched her take what we built and keep it going and elevate it. She expanded the program, brought in new partners, and reimagined the model. When it was eventually shuttered, not because of her, but because of budget, politics, and shifting priorities. I remember thinking, she's too good to be slowed down by this. And I was right. Not long after those flashbulbs faded, I got a call from a hospital group. One of those, we're about to make an offer to her kind of calls. They wanted her to lead large-scale programs and transformations. She called me before she accepted. Her voice was calm but uncertain. She was a new mom then, and the offer meant a pay cut. But it also meant staying remote, being present for her baby boy, and getting to use her creativity in ways she hadn't dared to in years. You think it's the right move? She asked. I paused and then smiled. What's the question I always ask? She laughed. Who's it for? Exactly, I said. And Theo, I think you already know. I could hear the smile on the other end of the line. Take it away, Elle.
Thank you, John. Wow, I've read the book, but it's so lovely to hear you read it yourself. Thank you for that. Okay, so on that, on to our next special guest, Mary Wise. Mary, I haven't personally had the pleasure, but John tells me you are also an amazing author, a mentor, and obviously a coach, serving as a leader within the Boeing company. So please welcome, give us a bit of an intro about yourself, how you know John, as I'm sure you'll do a much better version of me introducing you.
All right. Well, good afternoon. And John, I am so happy, and off camera, I'm trying not to, trying to keep it together. But I remember John because we hired him back at Kennedy Space Center for the first time. We offered him a job as one of our interns. And I just remember he was so excited. Every project, he would say yes. And we had some great times. And so when he talked about us having to leave one another at Kennedy Space Center, I went one way, he went to South Carolina. We had the pleasure of working on a project, and it felt like being home. He was always home. So no matter what happened at work, having a conversation with John, we could talk about anything, everything, everybody. And it was like we never missed a beat. So we could go 2-3 months without talking, but then when we talked, it would be an hour or two, and we would catch up on people from our past, people from our current, and what things we were doing. And so, John, I am just so incredibly proud of the journey. I am so proud that I've had the opportunity, and God blessed me to be a part of your journey. So congratulations to you.
Thank you, Mary. How beautiful. Wow. How special it is to know John. I think everyone on this call can agree, that's for sure. And so please, you've mentored John through some of the most challenging times in his career. What did this chapter of the book mean for you? Or, feedback on the book overall, give us your insights, please.
And so it's interesting is because John sent me that chapter first, and I didn't see myself in that chapter. And because, we talked about a lot of things, and so I really didn't see myself. But as I read the other parts of the book, I'm like, oh my, it just kind of if I felt thankful and grateful that he allowed me to peek into that part of his life. But it also reminded me that God is so good to bring him from where he was to where he is. And so while he may not have ever held the title, he was a leader to so many people. And so I'll just say the first couple of times he sent it to me to read, I didn't see myself. After we talked about it, I was like, oh, that's me. And so it just kind of, I'm kind of lost for words, and I'm usually not at a loss for words. But it's just one of those that I'm just thankful again and grateful to have had the opportunity to go with him on this journey, but to read about the pre-journey and to see where he is right now.
Wow, thank you so much. And do you have a favorite chapter in the book, except for this one, obviously? Do you have one that has stuck with you? Sorry, no pressure if you don't. I know that's really putting you on your feet there. That could be an awful host question.
Yeah, and it's so. Yeah, I will say when he came
Wow,
into
yeah, so
himself,
true.
when he became okay, and all of the voices that he had kind of got quieter. That was what it was like. Yes, you got it. You got it.
Wow, thank you so much, Mary. Did you have any last remarks before we conclude this mini interview?
No, just as a reminder, I know John is still in the workplace. I just would implore every one of us that no matter what is going on, that we take the time out to mentor, to coach, to counsel those young people in the workplace. We never know what their story is, but we can always be a part of their story.
Thank you so much. And I think,
Congratulations again, John.
thank you,
love that.
Mary.
Thank you, Mary. I love
Perfect.
that.
What a great example of mentorship from both ways. It's so lovely to see as someone, beginning in their career, to see how amazing, relationships at work can become, and how impactful mentorship is. And so I think, a book like this, getting it all down on the pages, being able to go through it and understand the power in mentorship and reflecting on the authenticity of someone's story is so wonderful. So Vivi, I'm going to have to lean on you here because I can't see the chat. But now that we've had Mary in from the book herself, does anyone here in the chat know someone in the book? Are you someone in the book? Speak up now about your character or the person you know.
Everybody's staying mute here. Like, no one is saying that they're in the book. I think they want to keep the mystery alive. So I think we're going to have to stay tuned and keep following the book on all the social media to find out who these people are, all of these inspiring characters in his book.
Perfect. I'll hand over to you now, Vivi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elle. Well, we are getting to my favorite part of the book, and probably many people's favorite part, because like Mary just mentioned, this is the part that John kind of comes into himself. And that's funny enough, that's how John and I met. We're colleagues, we work together, and our work was very much focused on helping people to feel like they belong. And John just, before I read the book, that's something I would never have really known. Again, the story that, how he came to be in this place and be so passionate about the work. And it was so wonderful to be able to follow his story and see why he is the kind, giving person that mentors so many people. And he's inspiring on a daily basis. He always has the right word to say. And in this chapter of the book and belonging, we get to understand why and how he came to be that person. But we're going to start in our favorite way with John reading a little part of the belonging chapter before we get to talk to another special guest. So John, I will turn it back over to you.
Hi. There might be a little lag on my end, so I didn't hear all of what Vivi said, but it was very touching, the part I did hear. So I guess I'm just going to go and share chapter 21 because I was unmuted. Okay, chapter 21, cold calls, cul-de-sacs, and confrontations. Sometimes we have to let go of the life we have imagined in order to step into the life that's waiting for us. Shauna Nyquist. The cul-de-sac was perfect. It was the kind of neighborhood I'd longed for as a kid. The kind from an 80s TV show where dads in polos flipped burgers by their grills. Moms laughed over wine, gardens were trimmed just so, and kids played basketball until the streetlights buzzed on. Rick's house sat right at the heart of it, exactly where a guy like him belonged. He was a neighborhood dad who organized block parties, hosted seafood boils, and always had a cooler full of drinks, ready for whoever wandered by. He invited us over regularly, and I, reluctantly and awkwardly, attended. I stood at the edge of the conversations, drink in hand, wondering how these polished suburban dads fit into this world so effortlessly, how they belonged here so naturally, while I still felt like I was sneaking in the back door. Rick's son, who I nicknamed Daniel's son, a play on words with a nod to the Karate Kid, was the golden boy of the block. In turn, Daniel's son, my kids, and some of the other friends nicknamed me Papa John, a play on the pizza franchise, which kind of fits my physique. This is why I wear black. It's slimming. Okay. Daniel could drain a shot across the cul-de-sac, dive for a Frisbee like some ultimate Frisbee Michael Jordan. And he was the kind of kid everyone wanted to be around. The kind of kid I had never been. The kind of kid I was never meant to be. Or at least that's what I told myself. I didn't know then that he could have grown up a lot like I did, if not for the love of two parents who adopted him and gave him something I hadn't always had, a foundation. Now my kids were orbiting his and his dad's world, not just in the cul-de-sac, but at church. That part gnawed at me. I could feel it happening like water wearing down stone. Rick was getting to them, his family, his faith, his way of life. And maybe somehow this family, these church people, were getting to me too.
Oh, John, thank you so much for that reading. And, you know, when I first, before I say anything else, when I heard you reading the other portions, I was thinking he needs to do the audiobook himself because no one can read this like you can. So I'm glad I saw in the chat that you're planning on doing that. But, you know, it's that one of the things from reading your book that I really took away is that I literally would feel goosebumps reading the different chapters, just like this one that you read about, because you have such a gift with words that you really make us feel like we're there and we are experiencing all of these things that you're feeling. So I can't wait for more people to have access to your book and be able to read it, because it's really like being transported in that moment. You have such a gift, my friend. But now, without further ado, we have one more special guest that is going to be joining us. And the belonging, I would say it's probably one of the most meaningful parts of John's journey, because again, this is where he kind of gets to be the person that he was truly meant to be. And Pastor Jen, who is joining us now, she happened to write the foreword for his book. That's how important and influential she's been in his life. And she's the pastor of Ashley Ridge Church that John attends, and it's part of one of the many jobs that he has. Probably it's not his favorite, because his favorite is being Cece's, babysitter from time to time, but I would say it's probably second. But Jen, I like to just ask a quick question here for you in regards to your experience in being with John and walking alongside him in this time of his life, because your contributions to his life were just clearly went beyond support. You were part of his transformation. And can you think of one moment or conversation with him that stood out to you as a turning point in his journey, where you saw his story shift in a meaningful way that made him feel like he finally belonged?
Yeah, well, first of all, and it's a great question, Vivi. I'm going to answer it, but I need to add my congratulations and all the excitement on this book launch. I am so proud feels like the wrong word, because I feel like I definitely look like so many of us look to John as a mentor. So it feels reversed, but just so incredibly proud of how brave you have to be to share your story and let other people see all of the pieces and be able to learn from them too. And so one of the things that I think I said in the foreword is that I feel like this book is the tangible form of what it's like to sit with John and get to learn from his stories, but also see him trying so earnestly to meet you in your story and to help you to grow. And he does it in such a humble way. And he calls it his Jedi mind tricks, but he does it in such an intentional way of offering himself so completely into the story. And I think that's part of my answer to your question is John, I think he understood belonging way before he gave himself credit for in the book. From a faith standpoint, certainly watched his journey from skeptic, cynic to maybe y'all aren't as crazy as I thought they were on the cul-de-sac. But I think the biggest moment where I realized, oh gosh, he's fully got it, is when John started to completely turn the tables on me. And when John truly started to teach me how to belong in a deeper way. I preach a really good game about being better together. And I also am really good, like a lot of us, at putting up the edges and the boundaries of how much I'm going to share. And John so gently and carefully offered himself in that space. And there were just some periods in my life where we'd been walking alongside each other, working alongside each other with our leadership team, going through tricky pieces. But I had some personal things happen in my life that were huge. And to see John come along and gently but firmly not allow me to hide, but to belong, and to find spaces to share that, and to know that the messy parts of our story and the good parts and everything in between, we can handle together. And so I'm just so grateful for who John is. I'm trying not to cry because Nikki's going to yell at me. But I'm so grateful for who John is. And I'm so grateful for this book, because I think because I've been around for the later chapters, I loved the early chapters, because all these characters that have come up in stories as John has tried to teach me and help me grow in my leadership along the way, I just got so many more layers to all of it. And so I loved it. And that's why my feedback was, I want more. I want more. I want more of Nikki, and I want more of how did you get these amazing places? He tried to jump straight from, I wasn't doing much, to I'm doing all these big things that I don't really want to talk about. And I was like, no, tell us more, because it's extraordinary.
Yes, yeah, that is it. I think you described John so well in so many different ways. And it's any one of us that has a chance to work with him in any capacity has seen a lot of what you're talking about, that ability to just be that quiet presence that reflects things back at you at the times that maybe you don't want to hear, but that's exactly when you need that voice there. So John is definitely a voice that we want to keep in our life. And of course, he has become to be that person again. He credits much of that to you, Jen, and to the work, faith, and how he kind of came into all of that in his life. And you might have touched on some of this already in your response, but as a quick follow-up for those that are joining the call, the webcast, and might be wondering, and might be struggling with feeling like they don't belong. Do you have any thoughts how other people might be able to find their way there too, that you can share with us in, all this 2 minutes that we have?
Oh goodness. I just think it's knowing that we all come with all kinds of pieces, and a lot of us carry the insecurity of if people really knew, if they really knew my story. And I would just again point to John as such a great encouragement of, we all have stories, some of them crazier than others. And when we're just willing to let people start to peek, and we realize we really can trust people more than we think we can. We've become such a cynical, distrusting, but when we truly step into that, can I have a friendship? Can I have a community? Can I let someone in and trust them to love me when they really see me? Then I think it's more possible than we expect. And I think that's part of John's story. I think he didn't expect to be surprised. I think when people got to know him and were able to love him exactly where he was. And the only other thing I'd say, and this does come up in the foreword, is that John and I have way more differences in some ways than the things that we share. And sometimes we let differences be the thing that would keep us apart. And what John and I have instead is we share some really important things, and it's the differences that allow us to learn so well. So don't let your differences be the reason that you think you can't belong. They might actually be the most beautiful part of your relationship. John is so curious and so eager to engage what's different. And I think that's true for all of us.
Oh, I love that so much. I feel like you can do my job any day too. So if I'm ever having an off day, I'm going to add it to my call list. So thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, Jen. And again, for being such a crucial person in John's journey, because all of us are getting to benefit from that. So on behalf of everyone, thank you for all the wonderful work that you've done in his life and all the work that you do in your community.
Too much credit. Too much credit. But love you, John. You're a rock star. Thanks.
Thank you, Jen. And okay, we're actually doing really great on time. I know John was really worried that we might be running short on time. And look at
Love you
this.
too, Jen.
All of us talkers are actually doing okay, John. Do you see that? Look at us go. But now we're getting to the biggest giveaway of this event. So I hope you're all still, tuning in to find out who won that $100 Amazon gift card. And I'm going to follow my other co-host's line and do a little drum roll over here. We've got Sheila Spain. You are the lucky winner of the $100 Amazon gift card. I'm sure part of that is going to go towards buying one of John's books. And don't forget to leave the review, by the way, after you buy it and read it, because he wants honest reviews because that's the type of person he is. But just make sure to contact him through the chat, and he's going to make sure to get that to you. And John, I know we have some time here, so I'd actually like to turn it over to you for a little bit and see if you want to do any wrap up comments or anything before we get to say goodbye to this party.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. And you don't have to go away. Oh, well, I guess you did. Okay. Well, Nikki will probably be mad at me, but I did get verklempt on the during all of those sessions and all of the sharing. And I can't thank all of you enough. I mean, honestly, that's why I wanted to write this book, is that none of us do this alone. And there's another shout out. So I was listening, I'll tell a little story to kind of close this out for anybody that's still on. I was in my driveway. I had written the book. I thought I was done. I had the quotes picked for every chapter. And I was listening to this guy I knew from high school, David Warren. I was listening to a song of his. And the song reminded me so much of a couple of my kids and their relationship. That and they each have a chapter, by the way, each of the couples. And so I reached out to him. So this kind of ties back into the whole Jen thing. Like when I was in high school, I didn't know that this person would even give me the time of day. But then I built a sort of this relationship with him over Facebook over time, found out he was an artist. And then that day in my driveway, I heard that song and I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to him and I'm going to ask him if I can use a quote from his song in the book. And sure enough, he not only reached out to me, but he said something so profound. I put it in the acknowledgments at the end. And it was, the gist of it is this, is that we don't do anything by ourselves. And he thought that that was cool, that I had come as far as I had, but that I didn't come away with the message that I did it all myself and that I'm the only one responsible for all of this love that I'm feeling, all of the different areas where I would be what the world might view as successful. Although I think the love is the success part. But, he said, you get it. You get that we don't do this on our own and that nobody does. And I just want to leave you all with that. I think that it's really, the more that, sort of like what Jen said, the more that we remember that we're not in this alone. We're not here by ourselves. And it actually is our differences that kind of make things interesting sometimes and help us connect and give us more than just sort of a repeating sound of our own voice and an echo chamber. That's really the key. And so I just hope that that all of you, that you follow the voices that matter in your life. And I just hope that any of you that need a little extra conversation around that, you figure out how to get a hold of me. Noah, you can drop the link tree in there. I'm sure you already have. But feel free to DM me. I'm, as many people know who I never knew before from any walk of life. I've had several mentees that are amazing parts of my life now that I just completely came out of the cold. So if you ever need anybody to talk to, just let me know and we'll connect. Thank you all so much. I couldn't be more grateful, and I feel like, heck, I don't know. Do I need a eulogy now? Like, I feel like I just got all the wonderful well wishes that one would get at the end, like an early, like sneak preview at least, right?
That's just
so. Thank you all, hosts. Oh my gosh, hosts! Let's give a virtual round of applause for these wonderful people. Thank you all so much from all the ends of the earth. Thank you all so much for hosting this event, and thank you all for joining it. Appreciate you all.
Well, thank you, John, for the sweet words. But we're here for you today. So this is all about celebrating you. And before we go, I do want to have one last plug and ask people to please leave reviews about John's books and all of the different platforms, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, Google, because at one point I was a business owner in my life, and I could tell you after I got the first review and the first handful of reviews, my business started booming, because one review, we don't think it makes a difference, but it really does. So let's all just help our friend John here, and hi, Fissy. I love when so let's do our part and help him, support him, and leave our reviews. And I'll turn it over to my host now, so you can say your party words as well.
Yeah, John, you 100% have my support, and I am so honored that I was able to help co-host this. You are an incredible human being, and at the core of everything you do is humanity and love and kindness. And like, I'm trying not to get teary-eyed because you are such an important person in so many people's lives. So I just want to say I truly appreciate you, and I'm so proud of you, and I can't wait to continue to celebrate you. So thank you for all that you do and all that you are.
I can only second all the lovely things that everyone has said. It was genuinely an honor to read this book, and I so recommend it to every single person listening here. It was such an incredible story of just love and growth and authenticity, and there is a message in there for everyone. There is, it comes from the core of someone, and that is such a gift. So really, thank you, John. We so appreciate you and are here to celebrate you 100%. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you all. Love you all.
Thank you.
Love everybody.
Thanks everyone for joining us online, for helping us bring breaking, building, and belonging into this world. It's better because of it, and let's keep soaring together. Thanks, everyone.